The top 10 Xbox One games of the year 2013. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Review Space, and today I'm going to talk about the top 10 highest rated meta scores on the Xbox One, and of course the user scores as well. Actually, let's take a look at it right now. So these are the top 10 ranked Xbone titles. Coming in at number 1 is FIFA 14. Getting a score of 88 on Meta. Actually, it also made the top 10 of the user scores. We'll get to that a little bit later, but it is the number 1 ranked Metacritic Metascore Xbox One title of the year. Not a big surprise considering the PS4 was second highest rated game for the PlayStation 4, and it only has a 6.2 user score, which isn't, this huge gap between the user score and the Metacritic score is very telling. It's very revealing. It's like, okay, well, the fans didn't enjoy it as much. Granted, there is a possibility of bias and downright trolls downvoting all these games. You just never know, but I just find it incredibly, you gotta be skeptical. Coming in at number 2, NBA 2K14, another sports title. By the way, this has got to be the first and only time that this entire year, any year, you'll have 2 sports titles that reach the top 2, the first and the second spot in the best Xbox One games, because this is going to be it, by next year, or 2 years from now, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now. You're not going to have these sports titles as the highest ranked, these FIFAs and 2K games. Not saying that they're bad or that they're terrible, and they're not going to release any more good ones. It's just that these are the highest one as for now, just because there's so few games. This one has an 87. Coming in at number 3 is Forza Motorsport 5. Is it Forza or Forza? I've heard Forza all the time, so I guess Forza. It's basically the Gran Turismo of the Microsoft, you know what I mean? Never been a big fan of the simulation racing titles. I mean, they look realistic as hell. They're very graphically impressive. Both franchises. It's got a user score of a 5.0. So, Forza, if you like the driving sim, good for you, but not my cup of tea. It has an 81. Coming in at number 4 is Just Dance 2014. Just Dance, I mean, these things have been around for, like, every year they come out with a brand new one. 6.3, which is actually the highest so far in the top 4 user score, I should say. 6.3 user score, but 79, so it reached number 4. Dead Rising 3 coming in at number 5, the third installment in the Dead Rising franchise. Unfortunately, only has a user score of 6.3. I mean, Dead Rising 3, what are you gonna do? Microsoft was able to get the exclusive rights to the game. I'm sure it's only gonna be for the Xbox One. I doubt they'll port it to the PlayStation 4. You never know, but just like with the first Dead Rising, the whole Capcom thing, there's a connection there. There's money involved, where Microsoft, I'm sure, paid a pretty good amount to get the exclusive rights to this game. My first impressions of the game wasn't very good. I'm sure the game carries on, a relative amount of the tradition that the Dead Rising franchise has had, particularly in the whole large open world and all the zombies and all the things that you can do in the game. So, from a gameplay standpoint, you can expect the kind of the same old from this title, but my god, I don't think it's a killer app. I don't think Dead Rising 3 is a killer app. It's not a must-have title. It's certainly not like this must-have zombie game. It's just a zombie game. It's a fill-in game for the Xbox One to have. Okay, zombies are still hot, they're still popping. Dead Rising is a pretty well-established franchise. Alright, so let's, bring Dead Rising on. Next up, we have Call of Duty Ghosts. COD Ghosts coming in at what? Number 6. Yes, this one has a 78. 78. But it only has a user score of a 3.5. Very downvoted game, unfortunately. There is a significant amount of hate against COD in general. This is a multi-plat, so we've seen this in the previous generation, COD Ghosts. I mean, some people have the argument of, well, it is a supposedly better looking game, you know, it's got the better resolution, and it looks more next gen, you know, at least from a graphical point of view. But you're getting the gameplay, you know, you're getting the same familiar formula here. You're not really getting anything massively different. And it's an early title, that's all I can say. It's an early game. I mean, I would be impressed if this was 2017 and this was some brand new, you know, shooter. But it's COD Ghosts. It's just, you know, a carryover. And it's popular. That's the main reason why. You know, Call of Duty is a big franchise. It's still selling, even though it is declining. But it's the reason why it's a big Microsoft featured type of game. You know, it's not an exclusive to Microsoft, but it's like one of their biggest selling titles. Alright. Peggle 2 coming in. Man, I'm losing track. Is it number 7? We're number 7, right. Peggle 2 coming in at number 7. That's 77, actually. Has a user score of a 7.3, and this is the highest rated so far as the user score in this entire top 10, but it is got a 77, Peggle 2. Coming in at number 8 is Need for Speed Rivals with 75. Need for Speed 6.1 user score, I should say. Madden NFL 25 coming in at number 9 with a 75, and to round out the list, Killer Instinct. Oh, Killer Instinct made a list, at least, with a 73 for the Xbox One. Unfortunately, it only has a 6.1 user score, and you can see why. It's a very, very fucking limited game. I mean, unfortunately, it's a sad thing to see how Killer Instinct has not been properly given an actual big release where it's a proper release with all the characters and, you know, a complete title. I mean, I would even have accepted the whole thing where put out a game, a disc type of title on retail, kind of like with Dead or Alive 4, or I should say Dead or Alive 5. And then maybe next year put out an ultimate version, or, you know, a more complete version with some characters that you released throughout the next months, you know, just have an updated version. I'd even be more accepting of that instead of just this DL online type of game, and it's just, you got like 6 characters, they're gonna release other characters in the future, very limited, no story mode. I mean, what a shame what they did to Killer Instinct. I'm glad I didn't buy an Xbox One for Killer Instinct. You know, I was excited at the beginning of the year. Last year, I was excited that they announced that they're gonna renew the license, or, you know, I should say the IP, the trademark. But it turned out to be like this unfinished game, this incomplete mess, and it's really unfortunate. This should have been a flagship fighting game for Microsoft, just so they can have a fighting game. You know, it's like, we got a fighting game. What a mess! And it would have been a good way, like a proper way to show off your D-pad. You know, supposedly more improved than the 360's D-pad, and you had a proper retail version right there in the stores, Best Buy, you know, EB Games, you know, all of these stores that carry video games right there. You know, a retail copy of Killer Instinct. But no, Microsoft doesn't do that. No. The user scores, do we want to run down the actual top 10 user scores? I mean, most of these don't even have like a Metacritic score anyway. It's like to be announced, you know, they haven't even rated it yet. Marvel Superheroes coming in at number 1, 7.3. Peggle 2 again with 7.3. Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, Battlefield 4, Just Dance 2014, Dead Rising 3, FIFA 14, Skylanders, Swap Force, Zumba Fitness World, Party, and Need for Speed. That's the top 10 user scores from the actual fans. Most of them are in the 6 point something, not even the 7 point something. Only the top 3 is in the 7 point something. So, not even a 90 out of any of it. Nothing over a 90. Understandably so. FIFA's the closest with 88 from the Metascore. The highest from the user is 7.3, Lego Marvel, and Peggle 2 with the 7.3. That's it for the Xbox One, I guess. I mean, next year, I'm sure they're going to have way better games, bigger releases, and I look forward to whatever they have in store. Titanfall looks pretty damn good. I know it's coming up for 360, I believe. So it's almost like, let me just get the 360 version instead. It looks good. I mean, I'm excited for whatever they have. It's not a good year for Xbox One. It's not worth buying. It's definitely not worth 500 bones. Give me a break. You know, that's not worth that. With this library, with this small amount of titles, ports, or sequels to older games, familiar gameplay.